Jorge Orozco with Team 7 here at Titan Solar Power. Today we're doing a 44 panel install. We're installing 340 sill fans. We're doing a couple of arrays. It's a flat roof, so there's a couple of different things we have to do today.
All right. Hey guys, I'm trying to get this new Zoom stuff figured out. And how's everybody doing? There's a chat button. If you guys click that, you guys can send thumbs up and raise your hands and do that type of stuff there on the bottom. You can raise your hand. As you have questions, we will be doing a Q&A at the end of this, but as you have questions, as that stuff comes up, you guys can drop thumbs up if I ask for it, or high five or smiley faces, that type of stuff. We are also live streaming on YouTube and on Facebook and a couple other platforms so folks can get on in other territories. Some folks have had some issues with the new, so this Zoom on Zoom is what it's called now. We've had a little bit of a fun time getting this thing started, so I'm trying to get it figured out. So I apologize if I mess some of the stuff up. I am going to get all the training that you guys need here. This will be public. You guys will be able to view it on YouTube. It'll be in the app, so when you log in under support and help and video library, you guys will be able to see it there as well. Okay, so Brian is with us today, and yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. So big thing that I want to talk about with you guys and get everybody trained up on is one of the most important things that you're going to do the entire time you're inside the home with the customer, and that's the bill review. The bill review it's so essential that you get good at this part because it puts the homeowner in the market to make a change. Without doing a good bill review, and essentially we call it killing the utility company. Okay, if you don't kill the utility company, there's no need to do anything different than they're doing right now. And you'll start getting a lot of objections like, I need to think about it. Seems like a lot of money. I don't see a return on investment. I like it, but I don't know if it's a priority. When you're getting those type of objections, it's because you didn't do a proper bill review and you didn't create the need. Okay. The bill review is going to do a couple things for you, and that's what we're going to go jump into. So you guys will notice some of this stuff is pretty similar to what you've seen on the initial training, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth with you today, including talking about the one of the most important things is setting the stage when you get inside the house. So let's go here. There we go. So first thing I want to talk about is what is a utility company. So on a basic level, the utility company, also known as your distribution company or DISCO, provides electricity to your homes and to your businesses. Okay. The utility company also owns the transmission wires and the other infrastructures that deliver the electricity to your home. So knowing this and having that basic, just general description is really, really important. You can even go as far as asking your homeowners, do you understand what the utility company is? Some people really don't know. They don't understand what the utility company does, especially if it's a co-op. Co-ops are going to have multiple utilities bundled into one, like gas or trash or water. There's a couple things that they could put in there, but the electric provider, their big job is to provide the electricity to homes and businesses. That is their entire job, which means that they own the wires, they own the conduits, they own all the infrastructure that gets it to your home. Why is that important? Well, we'll show you why in a second, because it's right there on the bill. So utility power is the primary generation that's used in the United States. There's a couple of them. You have coal, natural gas, hydro, and nuclear power. These are the four main types of utility used across the United States. You'll see some others, and there's some renewable stuff that you see that's out there, but the primary sources are coal, natural gas, hydro, and nuclear power. Oops, there we go. So for instance, coal. Why is this important to know? Well, once you start doing things like coal, you get what this is right here, emissions. This is what renewable sources are usually trying to help fight against, is additional emissions, right? But there's big equipment, there's big things that the utility companies use in order to be able to generate this electricity, so they charge some pretty bucks for it, right? Some renewable sources of energy are things, it's a small portion, but it is growing, and we see that every single day, like solar, wind, landfill methane gases, and then geothermal power. Okay, solar is right at the very top. Why? Because it's one of the fastest growing industries in the country, number one, and we're not running out of sun anytime soon. Okay, you guys are in this industry for a reason. That's what we're focusing on. There are other renewable sources, but this is the most popular one to date, especially in residential. So a couple things are going to be listed on the bill. kWh, kilowatt hours. Okay, very different than kilowatts, kilowatt hours. The length of time that something can use a kilowatt. It's a unit of measurement the utility companies use to bill. That's their consumption or their usage. So remember the kilowatt hours, because when we dive into the bill, that's going to tell us how they got billed, how they got charged. Okay. Then we have kilowatts. So kilowatt is a measurement of power, while kilowatt hour is the length of time something can use a kilowatt. 1 kilowatt hour is equal to 1,000 watts sustained for 1 hour. So let's go ahead and do a quick thumbs up check for everybody. Okay, so give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Thumbs up means that you agree with this next statement that I say. Okay, a kilowatt is 1 million watts. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Awesome. So we know what we're talking about, right? Got more and more coming in. A kilowatt is 1,000 watts, right? 1,000 watts. So when you see 1,000 watts, that means kilowatt, okay? PV solar system size is calculated in kilowatts. So when you're talking to customers and you've seen it in your proposals, if you've done some already, if you haven't done them yet, totally get it. You will see it come up, finish your training, get certified, and you'll understand what this means. But the system size is going to be built in kilowatts. The size of the system determines how many kilowatt hours is based off of how many kilowatt hours is needed to be produced. No two solar systems are going to be the same. All right, they're not. Now, you can have a 10 kilowatt system that produces the same amount of electricity as an 8 kilowatt system. Why is that? Well, it could be because of the tilt, could be because of the azimuth, could be because of shading. There's a lot of factors that go into it. So no two systems are going to be the same that you're going to run across. You'll see some of them and be like, hey, yeah, no, but this 8 kilowatt system produced 11,000 kilowatt hours. It was solid. Now this 8 kilowatt system produced 14,000 kilowatt hours. This was even better. Could have been geographic location. You don't know. So don't make assumptions before you get inside the house and you get that proposal ready. Okay. Now this will help you. And if you understand this, this will help you when you're inside the home going through the bill with the homeowners. Now, if you can see here, this is a solar only system, right? Grid goes down. There's no more solar. So it's important to understand that this is solar only. We'll talk more about that in the next webinar. But the other big one that we want to start talking about is the actual bill itself. Okay. So the first type of charges that we get inside of the home are generation charges. Half of this bill is generation charges. Okay. It's the energy that they consumed. The rest is the delivery and the power charges to the actual home. So you can use the customer's own bill to demonstrate and build the pain off of the bill. So our goal when we're inside the home with this customer is to do two things. Okay. Number one, our big goal is to kill the utility. How do we do that? Bringing the pain that the homeowner has with their utility company. They might not even know that they have it yet. Anybody who's done a bill review or has sold their solar system has heard issues that people have had with the utility company, whether it be something that, they get charged too much on something, they don't like the inconsistency of the bills, they saw a skyrocket in the bills. There's a pain point. It's your job to figure it out. This goes back to the simple, the old, what is it? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Okay, thumbs up. Who's heard that before? They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Let me see thumbs up. So not a lot of people have heard that. Okay, so you have to take your time with homeowners, and they have to know how much you care, right? Taking your time through this portion is going to show them that. Building a friend is going to show them that. And if you're going into a house, jumping straight into this, you didn't take your time. You didn't build a friend. You didn't make rapport. You're jumping straight past steps. Okay, so you have to make your rapport. You have to build a friend with this person. And then you have to set the stage. And then we got to jump into the bill review, right? So, okay. So, yeah, if you don't have thumbs up, you can just say yes, yes or no. But we have to bring that pain point out to the customers. We got to let them, we got to let them realize that they have an issue of some kind. And until we break down these charges, a lot of them don't realize that there is a problem. Okay. So it's like if you have a car, right? So let's say you have a car, you've had it for about 2 or 3 years. It drives great. There's no problems with it whatsoever. It's got good gas mileage. It gets you from point A to point B. It's comfortable. But you see that there's a new model out and you love the car and you think it's really cool. Okay. You're not going to immediately just go buy that car just because it looks cool. Otherwise, you'd be buying a car every 2 or 3 months. The reason why is because you don't have a need to get rid of this other car yet. Just because it looks cool, just because it seems like a good idea, doesn't give you the need to go get a new car. Otherwise, car dealerships would never, they would have appointment only, right? It's no different with solar. It's like, yeah, no, I have my electricity. It works well for me. They don't black out very often. And solar sounds like a great idea. Sounds like a great idea. Well, they don't need it yet. So when we start breaking down these charges, like generation charges, right? The other charge that they're going to have, that they're going to see, well, sorry, let's go over this. So even if the generation charges doesn't go up, maintain the aging infrastructure will. And this is where we come through those transmission and power supply charges. So if we think about places like California and Texas, right? So Texas people were talking about the big freeze. The infrastructure ages. Utility companies are going to have to maintain that. So they're set to spend about $10 billion in upgrading the grid through the next couple of years. So when they spend more money, it's likely the rates are going to increase. Why? They have to make a return on investment. They're a business. Utility companies are a business. Does that mean it's a bad thing that they're going to increase their rates? Well, it sucks for us, but they're a for-profit company, which means that if they didn't go make a profit, they wouldn't be able to provide the service that they're providing, right? Does it mean we have to like it? No, it doesn't. So more and more people start making the switch to solar. Why? Because it causes issues for them as utility companies do this. Okay. Then you're going to see things like transmission charges. Transmission charges, you charge for the delivery that the electricity is used. Why do we get charged twice essentially? Well, one of the reasons why is because you can't box it up and ship it off through Amazon, right? It's got to get to the house. So these charges are for maintaining the aging infrastructure, delivering electricity to the homes, and it may be included in the kilowatt or listed kilowatt hour rate, or it's listed separately. Like in this bill, you see 2 different kilowatt hour charges. You have one here for power supply and one here for delivery. So you can see this one's on a tiered rate plan. So tiered rate structures charge in tiers. They charge in buckets. And I'm going to show you guys through the bill review here in a second how we talk about those. And then we get charged here for the summer one, they get charged again, right? So it's a little bit older of a bill, but I've been using it for a while. It's from September 2021, but it's one for down here in Tucson, Arizona. And they list all the charges plain as day. But if you look at some of these ones from like Texas, and I know a lot of you guys are out here in Texas right now that are on this one because that's where we did most of the promotions for this one. In Texas, most of these charges don't exist. You just have one that looks just like this. It doesn't say summer. It says maybe usage, kilowatt hours, the amount, and then the rate, and then you see a bill, which means that they're not being very transparent about where all this stuff is coming from, right? One of the reasons why it's a deregulated market. There's one power supply company. There's one utility company. They have a bunch of basically sub dealers that you can get different rates through in most of Texas. So because of that, that company's got a charge that they got to pay in order to be able to supply the power by the utility company that's actually making the power. So a lot of cases, it could be a lot more than in places like down here in Arizona. And if you look at California, well, their grid can't keep up with it. So they have what's called brownouts. Those brownouts are purposely shutting off power to a specific area for a period of time to keep the grid from being overwhelmed. Well, you're still going to see most of these charges being listed out just like this. Now, these account for 40 to 60% of the bill. So if we take a look at it right here is the basic service and meter charge. We call it very simple with all of our homeowners, all of our customers, it's a forever charge. The forever charge is there because it's you have to be connected to the grid. There's no federal law that says you cannot go off grid, but there are city ordinances and city laws if you're within town limits, city limits, county limits that will require homeowners to stay connected to the grid, even if they have solar, even if they have batteries. A home without power is not considered habitable, which means they have to get their power from somewhere. Well, can we guarantee what the sun does? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Or no, yes or no. Can we guarantee what the sun does, guys? No, we can't, right? No. We cannot guarantee what the sun does. So the utilities can't do it either. So even if they have batteries, what if there's no sun for about 3 weeks to 4 weeks? Well, there's no way to recharge those batteries too, right? So that's the utility company's argument every single time they go with these meter charges, is there's no guarantees. And they're right. So at some point they may need utility power. Okay, great. Well, that's there. So this case before solar, it was $13. Sorry. For this case, it was $13. Okay, it goes up in some territories. So this customer here is billed in tiers. What are tiers? Well, tiers they are like little buckets. And let me see, because this is a different type of setup. I'm going to try to share my screen with you guys to show you how I explain this to customers. So the first 500 kilowatt hours is on the first tier, and this one's 7.5 cents. So it's gone up since then. Okay. Most homes use 500 kilowatt hours within the first 7 to 10 days of the month. The second tier is 501 kilowatt hours. They're going to increase the rate. Third tier is almost 10 cents per kilowatt hour for everything 1,000 watt kilowatt hours used and above. Okay. Then there's an adjuster, which is great. This customer got a 5-cent credit, which is awesome. And then they get billed again for getting the power to their house. There's $51 they got billed for right there. Okay. Then they have that renewable energy standard tariff. Now, if you're wondering if your territory has one, just type it in the state, type in the words renewable energy standard tariff, and it'll pull up rules that require utility companies to not only promote clean energy, but allows them the option to be able to charge homeowners for it. Sometimes it's spelled out clearly like this. Other times it's already baked into the per kilowatt hour charge. So what is this charge? This charge is very simple. Utility companies, they promote solar power, they buy solar power, they sell you solar power, wind, hydro, all those renewable sources, they're promoting it, they're selling it, and they're buying it. Well, that can come at a cost to them. So what happens to the people who aren't using that? Well, right here, you get an additional charge. It's a flat rate most of the time. Sometimes it's baked in, which increases the monthly cost. And then you get all these other surcharges and fees and taxes and assessments and all that other great stuff. Okay. So in this case, this bill came out to $245. Here you see it's 143 bucks. If you deduct that, so this is how much power they used, right? It's $101 in additional fees and services. If you aren't breaking down the bill like this to homeowners, you're missing out. When they go solar, they start eliminating these charges because they're not using utility power until the system can't, until they're using more power than the system's producing, than the system's producing. Right? So how do we come to this number? Okay, so we got to find the per kilowatt hour rate. Okay, so we take the bill minus the forever charge, in this case it's $13. You divide it by the usage, which is the 1592.55. So this customer's being billed 15 cents per kilowatt hour. So let's take a look at another bill. So if we take a look here at, this is one from Texas, we have a 20 cents per kilowatt hour. How do we come to that? Well, we have the base charge, just like we have in the previous, it's called the basic service and meter charge. Here they have the base charge. Okay. Solar days, nights, and then nights discount. Great. Now we have a $590 bill for 2,896 kilowatt hours. That's 20 cents per kilowatt hour that homeowner is being charged. That's a lot of money. 20 cents per kilowatt hour. So in your guys' script section inside your app, you guys will see something that's called the 99 sales clinchers. Okay. Our 99 sales clinchers give you some great stuff. So before bringing up something like this, right, you can have conversations with homeowners and you can talk to them a little bit about, something that they do on a daily basis. Some of the best salespeople in the world, what they do is they take a current situation that they're selling to and they bring it to a real world situation that homeowners do on a daily basis that they're comfortable with. Okay. So one thing that we do that we're all affected by right now is gas prices. Thumbs up or thumbs down if you agree. Or yes or no, if you don't have the emojis. Right? Gas prices. Guess what's going on with your homeowners? They're running across the same type of situation. They're running across these issues where they have they're spending double what they used to spend, and it hit them and they didn't expect it, and now they're dipping into savings, or they can't go on vacations, or these things can't happen. Guess what happens with utility companies all the time with people? Texas just had a huge jump. Florida just had a huge increase. What was it? I think Nevada just went through an increase. Arizona just went through an increase. California goes through increases all the time. They have a new bill that they have going out to try to increase it even more and charge people a base charge for every kilowatt hour that they have installed. They've tried to do that every year for years. It's probably not going to go through again. Okay. I haven't looked into it. Brian has more information on that. So if he has an update, he'll let me know. But the utility companies are trying to fight this all the time, right? They're trying to get more and more and more out of it. Why? Because one of the renewable sources that they pay for are bill credits. Now, whether it's net metering or it's DG export, that's a different training. So let's talk about this part right here, okay? So we're at 20 cents per kilowatt hour with this homeowner, okay? So let me try to get a different screen share going. There we go. Figured it out, guys. Boom. see. All right. Stop this. All right, I can do this. Thumbs up if you can see my whiteboard. All right, cool. All right, so a couple things that we can do inside the home to help the homeowners understand. We get the bill, we pull it out. I don't care if you have an iPad, if you have a tablet, if you have a computer with a drawing app on there, if you draw on the customer's bill, I don't care how you do it, but you should be drawing in every single customer's home. This is crucial because homeowners typically aren't going to tell you if they have questions or if they don't understand something. Nobody likes to admit that they don't understand something. So we have to help those homeowners a little bit, get a better understanding about what we're doing by putting it on paper. Okay. So there's a couple things that we're going to do for those homeowners. Number one, we're going to ask them a lot of questions, let them get familiar with asking questions. And the other thing that we're going to do, there we go. The other thing that we're going to do is draw through the examples and get them understanding how this works. So I do what's called a happy house. And it always looks just as bad as it does if I'm using my mouse. So when I'm explaining these charges to the homeowners, I'm going to draw this little happy house here. And I'm going to call it the happy house. Go ahead and type your response. Let me know why you think I would call this a happy house. Yeah, solar. Who, because it has a solar system, exactly. So, and it sets a positive expectation. I like that, right? Now, what do you think that homeowner is going to think about their house right now? Is it a happy house? It's a sad house. It's an unhappy house. It's a mad house, right? So unwittingly, they don't have the same perception as their house as a house that has solar on it. Okay. So let me draw this like nice little happy house for you guys. Let me show you something real quick. So as I'm explaining different charges, I'm going to do a couple of things, right? So when I'm explaining tiers, I might draw out buckets. So Mr. and Mrs. Customer, if you see right here, you actually use 500 kilowatt hours, right? Well, that first 500 kilowatt hours, you were being billed 7 cents per kilowatt hour. Well, what happened when we hit 501 to 1,000? Did it go up or down? Oh, it went up, right? So because that went up, now you're being billed 9.6 cents per kilowatt hour. Well, what happened when we hit 1,000 plus? When we hit 1,001 kilowatt hours here, it went up again, and now we're being billed almost 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay. Well, remember what I said before, some of the most successful salespeople take real world situations, right? When you go to the grocery store, like I have Kroger down here, Fry's, Safeway, Albertsons, places like that, right? They're always running deals. Buy one, get one, right? Buy three boxes of soda and you're going to get it at this price. Or if you buy one, let's say 3 for $9. Or if you buy one, it's $5 for one box, right? Let's get meat. So meat, buy one, get one free. Or you're going to pay $22 for just the one, right? But you're going to get another $18 piece of steak for free if you grab this other one, right? Why? Because I'm a good customer. So they're going to reward me because I buy more. Same thing with phones. If I go get a phone, I walk into the Verizon and I say, hey, I need one phone. Okay, well, in this case, it's going to be $40. Great. My phone's only going to cost me $40 a month. But hey, if you get 2 phones, it's only going to be $70 for both lines. Oh, that sounds like a good deal, right? I get $5 off per line. Hey, but if you get a family plan and you get 4 phones, you're only going to get charged $120 per month, which brought it down to $30 per line. That's a great deal, right? I was rewarded for being a good customer. With utility companies, I'm being punished for being a good customer, and they increase my rate every single time I use more of their product, right? So once that sinks into their head, we can start talking to them about, well, yeah, so you got these tier charges. Now, what about this other stuff? What about that renewable energy standard tariff, right? So for instance, in Texas, they have one. In California, they have one. Nevada, Florida, everywhere where we're at, there's a renewable tariff of some kind that allows utility companies to charge homeowners for the utility that they're, for the renewable sources that they're using or promoting. Okay. So your neighbor's happy house right here is producing power. So whenever the sun's out, their solar system is actually grabbing those little photons and it's creating power. That power, that energy, sorry, there's pretty energy. So whether the inverters are on the back of the panel or on the side of the house, it needs to be converted. This is direct current, DC power. So this sun power is DC power. So sun power needs to be converted into AC current, alternating current, AC, in order to be used by the house and by the grid. So this is the meter. That goes back to the utility company. Right? So that goes back to the utility company. And now our house can use power too. Any excess power that the homeowner is not using is going to go back to the grid. So let's say it's net metering. This means it's going to be a 1-for-1 bill credit. So if they're being charged 9 cents per kilowatt hour, guess how much they're getting back in bill credit per kilowatt hour for every one of these that got sent over? 9 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay. Now, what's happening here is when, let's say it's a cloudy day where the sun goes down and the moon comes out. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Is the solar system producing any power at this point? Nope. Because it's not producing any power, it's got to come from somewhere, right? So it's coming from the utility company. So if you have the proper amount of bill credit, guess what? Are you going to get any charges? No. Okay. They're going to sell you back the power that you've already used. You're going to zero out for that day, that month, that week, whatever it is, are going to be great. Okay. DG Export, they're buying it at wholesale rates. They're selling you at retail rates. So if it's an area like SRP, they might be buying at 3 cents per kilowatt hour, but they're charging you 12 cents per kilowatt hour for everything you send back. So you have to produce 4 to be able to offset one of those. Okay. Now, where's this power coming from? Well, utility companies have, go ahead and put in the chat, how many different sources are the primary sources that utility companies use for electricity? You just learned it should be fresh. How many? 4, right? 4. So these 4 sources, like coal and nuclear power, so all these sources is where this is coming from. So this is where you see that giant smokestack. And you see petroleum. Right? That's where these are coming from, which is providing this. Okay. So right now, all the houses that don't have solar, what kind of power are they using? Clean power or dirty power? Dirty. Okay. So This is how bill credit starts to work. So now we can have a conversation with the homeowners next, right? So now they're getting to this point where they start to understand, hey, I got all these charges. You're drawing it out for them as you're explaining the bill itself. Okay. Now that this is being drawn out, they have a better understanding. They have a point of reference. One thing you guys have to understand about today, if you haven't been on social media recently, stay away. Okay. The majority of folks are on some form of social media. TV has also dulled the senses. Imagination is not what it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. Okay. So there's a Q&A section where you should be able to type your questions, and we'll answer them right at the end during the Q&A. Okay. So where was I at? Okay, so they have a better understanding. So with social media, it's dulled people's imaginations pretty drastically. So what happens is that when you're explaining these stuff without some type of picture, it's going in one ear and out the other. So you'd be talking about, yeah, so the power is going to go back to the grid. And then anytime that there's not power being produced by your panels, it's going to come back from the utility company. They're just information overload. Okay. This gives them a break, gives them a chance to understand it. That actually allows them to ask questions. So this is the power going back to the grid. So this is where I make my money, right? Yes. So most utility companies don't provide a form back in a check, but they do give you some bill credit month to month. So let's say you use 500 kilowatt hours, right? But you produced 1,000 kilowatt hours. Whoops. They consumed 500. They produced 1,000. Let's say they get a bill credit for $40. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, it's awesome. Well, guess what's happening to your neighbors right now? Oh, yeah, no, they're getting all that bill credit. Yeah. But then that renewable energy standard tariff, remember that one that I showed you? And then you can pull the bill back out. This right here. Yeah. Guess who's actually paying for that? Then they get upset, right? Starts bringing back a little bit more pain because they realize that this is coming from somewhere. Is the utility company, do you think that they're nice enough just to start giving everybody free electricity? No. Are they going to come out of their own pocket to provide a lot of these resources? No. Okay. So because of that renewable energy standard tariff, and look it up, type in your state and type in renewable energy standard tariff, and you'll see some sort of tariff that allows utility companies, that requires them to promote and use renewable sources, but allows them to charge homeowners for those sources, whether it be a per kilowatt hour rate or it be a flat charge. In this case over here where the bill I showed you, it was a flat charge. Okay. So most of the time those are baked in, you don't even see them. But once you pull up that renewable energy standard tariff for your territory, you can show it to the homeowners, like it's already in there. Like you're paying for it. It's in the bill. Okay. So this is going to happen for most months. Now, when you guys show the utility bill, you're going to see something like, or the proposal, you're going to see something like this. Okay, anything below the line is bill credit. Anything above the line, they owe to the utility company. Okay, so you do this enough months, what's going to end up happening? Well, most of the cases, these roll over from month to month to month. Okay. So what happens over here? Well, let's say that there's a month with no sun. That happens sometimes, right? And you use a lot of power. Or let's say right now it's Christmas. Who's having people over to their house this year for Christmas? Probably a couple of us. I know I have a whole bunch of family coming into town, right? Guess where most of them want to stay most of the time? My house, right? So is my utility bill going to be the same as it was last year when it was just me and my family? No, it's not, which means that bill is going to go up, which means that if I have solar, which I do, right? So my system wasn't designed for that month, which means I'm probably going to get a bill. And we haven't had a lot of sun this month. So let's say normally in December, I use 800 kilowatt hours. Okay. That's what I normally use. This month, I used 16. My system produced 800. Well, I owe the utility company, let's just say in this case, it would be roughly about maybe 140 bucks. Okay. That's what I owe for overages. Well, hey, there's like 6 months where I have some bill credit. I have $200 in bill credit. Well, the cool thing is that now I'm actually still positive $60 in bill credit to use in a different month. And you guys, if you saw my lights right now, my house is lit up like Tim the Toolman Taylor. My goal is to have the airport call me and tell me that I'm distracting planes. So it's going to get wild. I still have more lights to put up. Just out of curiosity, how many of you guys have all kinds of put up a good decoration this year? I know at least I talked to a couple folks. I know a couple of you guys already have some pretty great decorations up. Yeah. So this is our goal. Does that mean it's going to happen every single month? No, this is where setting proper expectations comes to play. And it's super, super, super important that we do that. Okay, guys. Again, drawing this out for the homeowner, setting those proper expectations, setting the stage, talking to the homeowner prior is probably one of the most important things that you can do with when it comes to the beginning of your proposal, right? Having the conversation with them, hey, we're going to go over the proposal. I want to show you guys some stuff. One of the major goals here is to get you guys to figure out, get you guys to understand how electricity actually works, right? Because most of you guys, you don't know where this power is coming from, but it's not dropped off at your door like Amazon, right? So once I show you guys that, it's going to take me a minute or two. Once I show you guys that, then I want to really go into solar and how it's going to benefit you guys in your home, in your future, and whether, retirement plans, vacation plans, whatever the case may be. So that way we can set you up on a good plan and for your solar for the future before we get started on anything. Okay. Now you can start having that type of conversation. If they don't know why you're there, if they don't know that you're there to actually sell them something, they're not going to go in for a buying mode. Okay. Number one. And then the other thing, if you're not showing them things like this, if you're not drawing an actual bill, if you're not pulling out the bill, if you're not going over the bill, you're not going over the charges, you're not killing the utility company by showing them these types of things, showing them examples, getting them to understand how solar is actually going to work before you pull the proposal. That means you're walking in there, you're doing just a slideshow presentation with somebody, and you're expecting them to buy. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. You're not going to get anybody to buy that way. Well, you'll walk in, I always say it in meetings, but when these things are being recorded, HR tells me that I have to say F up. So you're going to F up and sell something. Okay. You're going to walk into enough people. You're going to walk into enough homes where you screw up and you sell something because you hit your numbers. You will come across people that are just, I'm ready to buy. That's great. I'm so glad you're ready to buy. I'll help you out. Okay. Now, the thing that I want you guys to really dive into and pay attention to is how the need changes after you've gone through the bill review, because they're going to start developing more needs, or they're going to start figuring out their needs after you start talking about the bill, after you've killed the utility company, after you've given them a reason to look at a different option, because right now their current option works. They may not be satisfied with it, but it works. So if there's not a need to switch right now, you're going to get the same objections. I need to think about it. I need to talk to my spouse. Seems like a lot of money, right? We don't like those objections. Do we? I'll see some thumbs down on this one. Nobody likes those objections. We want to sell more often. We want to sell on purpose. Take your time, set the stage, do the bill review. Make them understand what they're choosing against. Because there's like up until this point, for most of the territories out anywhere outside of Texas, can you choose where you get your electricity from? Not unless you got solar. They don't realize that yet. It's up to you to help them realize that during the bill review. Okay. We have time for a Q&A. And I think Brian, bear with me 1 second. Trying to figure this out, see if I can get Brian in. I know he's in, but I don't know if I can make him talk. Okay. All right. So I want to move to the Q&A real quick before we take off. We got about 15 minutes, so that was perfectly on time. There's a section, it says Q&A on your bottom. What I want you guys to do is type in your question that you have so we can get those answered in the Q&A. So not in the general chat. I want you guys to do it in the Q&A because that's where I'm living right now. And then, so I have one. So I was, and then hold on, I got to get my other chat open from Facebook and from YouTube as well. Okay. Luis, I was once, if the extra energy they sell the APS, they will claim it. Do they have to report it on their taxes? If you would report your earnings on top? No, so there's no monetary value. There's nothing but bill credit. So it's nothing that they have to claim on their taxes. So the question is, does the homeowner have to claim any bill credits that they get on taxes? The answer is no. Okay. They don't have to claim that. It's not, there's no actual cash exchanged. Now say it's a co-op and they get a couple $100 back. Well, in most areas, it could be different with the state, and this is where they could talk to their CPA about it. But most 1099 income, you have to report up to a certain dollar amount that's not going to be taxed on. So, you know, if they're getting something back from the utility company, that could be considered income. Otherwise, with 99.999% of the utility companies and how they do their changes, or how they do their bill credits, it's just a bill credit. You're never going to see that money come back into your pocket, so you don't have to report that. There's nothing to report. Any suggestions for reaching clients during winter weather? Love it. Door knocking is always going to be the number one. Phone calls, emails, text messages, reaching back out constantly. Just like I'm doing here with you guys. We have, like during COVID, most of our proposals were done via Zoom. We were on FaceTime with them. We were on Zoom with them. We were on Google Meet. We were on, what's that other one called? There was another one I can't remember what it is. But yeah, there's a ton of ways to have these conversations with homeowners. And just like I did it with you guys, you could do the bill review the exact same way. Now, when you're doing virtual consultations, it's important that you deliver more value in the beginning and set the stage, or you will lose your homeowner halfway through. They're going to get distracted. You're going to lose them. So make sure that you're having it. Okay. He is co-host, but I don't know. I made a problem. Appreciate that. So yeah, so during weather, and Brian might have something else for you guys too, but my thing is always just knock the doors, go back out and reach out to people. It's always the best way to reach out to them. Leads, if you've been in the industry for any amount of time, you understand leads are not great. They're going to have their ups and downs. Nobody's submitting lead qualifications for solar right now. At least not like, you know, in the thousands every single month like they do during the rest of the year. During Christmas time, it's not popping up in their feeds because they're talking about Christmas presents. So their phones are hearing Christmas presents. So solar ads aren't relevant to the algorithms. So because they're not relevant to the algorithms, they're not popping up on their feeds for them to go in and submit questionnaires. So the best way to make your Christmas awesome. Get your upfront, go out there, sell a system real quick. People are still looking for solar right now. Okay. Just real quick side note, ITC, you're not getting an install date this year if you sell a system today. You're not. If you didn't sell it before October, you're not getting an install date for the rest of this year. It's just everybody slammed up like crazy. We're still trying to get at least some inverter hangs out there to try to get these people so they have, available for tax credits. But because there's no decrease in tax credits, it's not, it's not a big deal for most of them. But we're still moving. We just had such a huge rush. Cities are backed up on permits and we're backed up on installs. So just wanted to be full transparency there. Another question we have, does the forever charge get covered by bill credit? That's entirely dependent on the utility company. I've seen it in some places where bill credit can cover whatever's on the bill, and other places where they still have to pay the bill, the credit. So, sometimes you can call the utility company and ask them directly, like, hey, I got bill credit, and you can just ask them as a customer. I got bill credit from my solar. Will it cover my grid charge? They'll tell you yes or no. Okay. If you can't find it online, you can always call the utility company. They'll answer it for you. Does the bill credit roll over year to year? No. I haven't found a utility that does that anymore. Usually washes out at the end of their fiscal year and it goes down to zero. And if they don't have, like most co-ops, they'll pay back a portion of what's left over in bill credit. Otherwise, it goes down to zero. They start over. Like let's say a fiscal year ends for the utility company in October. Well, October 1st, if you had $200 in bill credit, that goes to zero and you start over, moving all the way up until the next October. Okay. Somebody just got this objection coming out of a house. Titan has some really bad customer reviews. Ones that have lasted for a long period of time. I understand it happens, but it looks like a lot online. Absolutely. But we're also talking about 3,000 installs a month. All right. So you put it in perspective for them. So how many of those are actually, like, how many bad reviews did you see when it comes to 3,000 installations a month? A handful, right? Mistakes are going to happen. We're not number one in the country because we're perfect. We're number one because we have contingencies for our plans, for problems. Number one. Number two, we admit our mistakes and we make them right. So if you go back and look at any of these, we've taken care of every single one of these customers. And, and sometimes I'll have conversations with them too. It's like, hey, so where was the last place you went out to eat? Great. Did you have steakhouse? Right? Fantastic. So you got a steak. It was good. Did you love it? Yeah, great steak. Best steak you ever had? Fantastic. Have you gone out and written a review that it was the best steak you ever had yet? Oh, no. Okay. So when was the last time you wrote a negative review? A different steakhouse. Okay, what happened? Okay, did you go there a lot before? How many positive reviews did you write before you wrote the first one? Right. Okay. So what happens is since the dawn of the internet, people found it easier to get their problem solved by making a complaint online rather than calling and getting things resolved prior. Now, does that mean that every single situation is like that? No, there have been some balls dropped in the past, and it happens. We're talking about 3,000 installs a month. Sometimes small mistakes are going to happen, but if they're not getting resolved, that's where you look at the issue. For us, we could pay to take all those offline, or we can promote them as a badge saying that, yes, we have bad mistakes. We've made mistakes in the past. Mistakes are going to happen. There's always room for human error. And, we want to make sure that, people can see that we're honest and we're transparent in those. Hope that one helped.
Additionally on that one, Chris, can you hear?
There he is.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and additionally on that note is that some of it is related to outside sources like, utilities, for example, or the city. I know we have a client that it took 6 months to get a permit for. We just got it in the hand late last week. That was out of our hands, right? Other cases, a big thing that we've seen before, and we're doing a lot about it, and you all have heard a lot with the certification too, is salespeople coming in and making promises that can never be upheld, or lying about things, or who knows what. But people just making statements that aren't true, and then not responding to their customer when they need to get some resolution on it. And so that's where a lot of our certification comes into play, is that, again, we take these things seriously. So those salespeople and sales companies get, they get excused from working with us, is a nice way to put it. But we still do take care of those customers. But yeah, like Chris said, we leave those up as a badge to show that, yeah, there's shady stuff in the industry. We're not immune to it too. When we see it, we flush it out. But if it happens, ultimately we still do take care of the customer. We part ways with the sales group, and again, get that customer taken care of, whether they take down the review or not. We want to make sure their system's up and running properly, and the construction work's completed as they expected.
And then I got another question over here. So, okay, so to figure out the bill, so to figure out the kilowatt hour rate again. Okay, so kilowatt hour rate is, I'm gonna put it on my whiteboard again. There we go. All right, so to figure out the kilowatt hour rate, just delete this. We're gonna take total bill. Actually, we have to write it down. Yeah, have it right here. Oops. All right. So we're going to take the total amount of the bill, and then we're going to deduct the base charge, whatever they normally call, whatever they call it for the territory: base charge, grid charge, meter charge, electric charge. There's always a base charge. It's usually under $30. You deduct that from the total amount, then you divide the total kilowatt hours. Now the usage kilowatt hour right here shows the entire month. If we take a look at the previous bill, it shows it right here, right? Right there, right there, right there. So we see the total kilowatt hour rate in a couple different places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places we can grab this from. So you take that and you deduct and you divide that, and you're going to come up with the price per kilowatt hour. Okay. And another question I got.
I saw one about in-person versus virtual, and which is more effective.
Yeah, you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, both are very effective. Though I've seen in-person tends to move more quickly, is what I've seen over the years. And it's really just you're making that friend right away, right? Like you're literally looking face to face with these people going through it. And so that's where you can overcome that virtually, but it's just a little bit harder to read the body language doing it virtually than in person. But again, either way, both work. But if you're trying to get quicker results, I would go toward in person.
I feel the exact same way. I've done them both. Brian's master at virtual. Probably have him do another one of these where he talks, about what he does on those, which helps him out a lot. With me personally, I've been doing door to door for 15 years, so it's kind of where my big thing is. So I got a couple more questions here. Let me grab a different screen. A lot of these are the same. All right, so one of the other most common ones right now is, okay. So yeah, so this is asked by a couple people in different ways, but it's all basically the same thing. So is it too late to do a bill review if you've left the house or if you forgot to do it halfway through? Is it okay to go back? Absolutely. Okay, so that's kind of like the general consensus. Is it, if I don't do it in the beginning, do I just forget about it? Right? No, you don't forget about it. Remember, they don't know you messed up. So this happens, this is just sales in general. They don't know you messed up unless you tell them you messed up. So if you forgot to do the bill review in the beginning and you're halfway through the proposal, you can always say, great, let me show you something real quick, and it'll help make sense. Draw it out, pull out the bill, and you can talk about it at that point. Okay. Get in the habit of doing it in the beginning. But if you screw up, let's say you're going back for a second time, right? It's a follow-up appointment. You didn't do the bill review the first time. That's fine. Pull out the bill and show them. A lot of times you'll end up getting that sale that second time, because now what you've done is you've effectively killed the utility company, putting them in the market for solar. That utility company is not killed through the bill review. They're not in the market for solar. So you want to make sure that that you get it done, even if you do it late. Okay. No one popped up. It looks like in the chat
Chris,
here.
Another
Forever
just
charge-
quick side note on that one too.
Yeah.
It's also a really good example. Like, you know, if you do a one-legger and you go back for a follow-up appointment, the other person's there, go through the whole thing again. Otherwise, that other person doesn't know it. But there were a couple questions on the forever bill. One was about, you know, why does it get subtracted? Another about, does the amount change? I'll answer those in order. Why you subtract it is, you know, it's, you know, we coined the term for forever charge because it's always there. That's the base charge. That's typically, you know, they'll call it a base charge, a customer charge, a meter charge, but that fee can't go away. And so that, you know, that's there regardless of if they use electricity or not. They could use no power and they would still have that charge on the bill. And so that's why you have to subtract it out, because you know, that fee's got to stay in there. So we don't want to divide by it because it'll throw the numbers off, because that's not one of the charges that's just driven by how they're using electricity. The other question similar was, does that amount change? Some utilities, yes. You know, occasionally there is, you know, you'll see it. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, it's a $20 base charge, but if you go solar, they add $10 to it. And that's literally up to the utility, varies by utility. Our proposal will always show what the lower amount is. Say, for example, we do 100% offset, and now you're seeing a $30 bill, and you're looking at the customer's bill. It's like, well, this says 20. Why does that say 30? It's like, well, that's probably an extra $10 charge. And so, somewhat common, but unfortunately, is literally just case by case, depending on the utility company.
So I had a couple people on YouTube that were asking me about this. Okay. So if you type in your state, type in renewable energy standard tariff. So I just typed in Texas real quick. You can see it 25.251. This gives all of the information about it, about the renewable sources that they'll use. It goes about rates and charges, tariffs and operations, the reporting, accountability. They have to make reports back to the government about how they're doing it, the approval process, cost analysis. Each utility will file reports supporting analysis showing the proposed cost of renewable sources is reasonable and meets the requirements of subsection F2 and section, and then the program marketing and administrative costs. And then these are all costs that can be assigned to homeowners on the bill. So read through these things, make yourself a little bit more educated on it. So figure out what states you're selling in, pull it up, because if you need to show it to a homeowner, you should be able to do it just as easy as this. The Google machine is amazing. All right. I get questions all the time, and I don't mind answering them. Don't get me wrong. I do not mind answering them. But a lot of times they're questions that can be asked or answered by just typing in Google real quick. Because all I'm going to do is go into Google, type in this exact phrase, and then send you the link. All right. So if you can't find it here, yeah, great. Shoot me a text. I'll pull it up. I'll send it over to you. But look in your territory and you'll see it. And you can see all kinds of great stuff that'll help you all about it. And then everything that I taught you guys on is all based off of the information here. Has nothing that I'm assuming It's all based off information. So we got time for one more group of questions.
And
Brian, go
I
ahead
got a
and pick one
follow-up question on the base charge and why you take it out.
Okay.
A lot of times on these bills, it doesn't throw off the math much, but if you're trying to figure out the cost, like the exact cost per kilowatt hour, you do want to take it out. An extreme example would be, again, let's say somebody uses 0 kilowatt hours and they have a $10 base charge, they would have a $10 bill. If they use 1 kilowatt hour, let's call it a 10-cent kilowatt hour, and a $10 base charge, that would be their bill for that month would be $10.10, right? But you don't want to say, oh, my bill was $10.10 and I used 1 kilowatt hour. My kilowatt hour charge is $10.10. No, that would be way too high, right? We would all be on an island somewhere if the electric company charged that much for electricity. But you want to take that base charge away because that's there regardless. If they use kilowatt hours or not, that's there. They're going to charge it. So you want to subtract it from your math to make sure you get the correct cost per kilowatt hour.
Thank you. So last thing I want to show you, so it should answer a couple of you guys' questions. As soon as you jump into the proposal, you have this guy right here. Okay, so it shows the current bill, shows the bill going up in a couple of years. This is utilities increased by an average of 4% a year. Okay, this is across the United States. Some are more, some are less. Some years are different. But overall, at the end of the day, so let's say you could lock in your 2020 gas prices and they would be the same forever. Even if you didn't spend a penny less before, and you could lock in that $1.80 rate, how happy would you be today? Would you have considered that a good investment or a bad investment, right? So in this case, and this isn't a good example because they have other ton of, I think they're doing a roof and a ton of other stuff. So, but in this case, what we're looking at is 18.5 cents per kilowatt hour, and it's going to increase. But take a look at what's happening. They're at break even by year probably 6, 7. They're saving, and this is including the roof that they put into their solar loan, by year 10, year 15, year 40, or year 20, and year 25. Okay. This is what we're showing homeowners every single time, is locking in that rate, right? So if we take a look at this one, this homeowner, they're 18 cents, they can lock in their rate. How happy would they be in the next couple of years? Okay. So these are things you want to look at when you're talking to homeowners, but if you don't effectively kill the bill prior, you don't kill the utility company prior, you don't do a good bill review prior, they're not in the market, they have no reason to move forward with anything. So, all right, I wish I had more time for more questions. We'll do another one of these. And we have there's going to be one posted here soon for solar and real estate. So if you guys have any realtors that had questions, or real estate agents that wanted to come on board, they want to know how it worked with real estate. We do one of those every single month, and we're going to be using this platform. I kind of like it. So we're going to be using Zoom now instead of the other one. So if you go to my link, it'll show all of them there. On my email signature, it's on there as well. So when I send out those emails, you guys can just click on my Zoom link right there, and it'll bring you to my events page. We're going to start moving all the events that we had on the other platform over. Give us like a week before you start viewing that to see what events and what trainings that we have available for additional training. So yeah, outside of that, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for joining me. Signing out of YouTube, Facebook, and now I can send it to Zoom. All right. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll put this training up inside the app for you. Take care.